Ren from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today we're talking about games that we want to see remastered. Let's check it out. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today I'm once again joined by Danik.
Here we are again.
Oh, we're at it. And we're going to be talking about games we think need or we just want remastered. Now, I will be completely honest here. I don't have the best of intentions on all these games. They're just mostly, I want to play them.
We're just riffing here.
That's pretty much it. But really, a lot of the games on today's list, I think, have kind of fallen into obscurity, and I've kind of had a lot of nostalgia and almost game preservation mindset kind of going, and I'm kind of worried that some of these games are going to be lost to obscurity, and I think that ports and remasters of these would help keep them in the limelight.
It seems like there's definitely a lot of ports and remakes coming around, so we just want to look at the kind of things that we're interested in.
Yeah, because for a lot of these games, there is becoming an accessibility issue, because for a lot of the games that are in the PS2 era, you know, if you have, a lot of people don't have the luxury of keeping all their old consoles. A lot of people haven't warmed up to digital yet, at least that watch this channel. And you know, with like PS3s failing, even buying a fat boy PS3 these days is ludicrous. You could buy like a Switch and then something with what it costs to pick up a PS3 that's backwards compatible fully. Anyways, long story short, these games are excellent, and I think they need to be in the limelight. Number 8, Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2. Alright, so the first game on my list for today is Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2. Now, this is kind of one giant game split into two.
Really?
Yeah, very ambitious for its time, and for anybody who's watched this channel before, you know I'm an absurdly cuckoo bananas fan of Persona and SMT. What's excellent about Digital Devil Saga, however, is that there is no demon recruitment in this. It's almost plays similar in structure, at least with your power progression, to like what you would see from like maybe an old school Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, in that you have your party members, you build their power levels, and such like that. Ultra unique game. This is honestly at near the top of my most desired games to be ported and remastered, because I do feel that there is this resurgence in nostalgia, especially in those older classic solid titles for PS2. There's an audience for them today. And really with Digital Devil Saga 2, it has a very unique world. It's very haunting and alluring. It was the first thing I thought of when you got the Steam Deck. I definitely think this would excel today, especially with the Nocturne, SMT Nocturne getting a remaster and a port to modern consoles. I'm hoping beyond hope Digital Devil Saga will be a part of that.
Yeah, we've seen Atlus's stock do nothing but go up with lately, just really since Persona 5, I think. And we've seen Nocturne get ported. Will we see Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2? I've mentioned to you whenever, years ago, I was at EB Games, and the clerk there, I remember him telling me to check out Digital Devil Saga, and I'm like, what is this? And I, knowing what I know now, what a shame I didn't go for it.
It was back when, you know, they weren't just trying to push whatever. They were trying to shill for the games they love.
The game collector monthly card, pro card, whatever it is now. But it's a shame. I would really like to try Digital Devil Saga. Maybe Atlus will keep digging into the backlog. I can't say we thought Nocturne was going to come in the first
place. Never did I see that on the bingo card.
No. Especially before 3, 4, and 5.
No, not at all.
Persona 3, 4, and 5, that is.
Yes. Number 7, Yakuza 3. Yakuza 3, oh my gosh. One of my biggest gaming embarrassments is not playing the Yakuza games.
I'm pretty new to them all, and I think that's really why this was still so fresh in my mind. We have Yakuza 0, Yakuza 1, and 2 were remade in I think they call it the Dragon Engine.
Okay.
That was the Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2.
It is confusing to me as an outsider to know where to start.
I do agree. And people will discuss with you and argue where should you start. But besides that, if you start with 0, if you start with 1, if you start with like a dragon, if you end up at Yakuza 3, no matter where you start, in my opinion, it's going to be really jarring.
Really?
The best we have is a remaster of 3, 4, and 5, and they were pretty straight remasters without a whole lot of change. I believe Yakuza 3 was the first entry on PlayStation 3. It was a pretty early entry in the PlayStation 3's life. And I don't know if you remember, early PlayStation 3 games were kind of weird.
Yeah.
They blamed the cell processor being hard. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's all I hear these days. I don't know what they're talking about. There's a little cell process. You're talking different language to me.
But I do recall people saying PlayStation 3 was different and hard to at first figure out. And I think Yakuza 3 maybe suffers from a little bit of, what do you call that?
Growing pains?
Yeah, because to me it was very story heavy. Compared to 1 and 2, a lot less action, much more. But other people love it because of how Kiryu grows as a character in that game. Right. They took the story and probably showed a lot more of Kiryu rather than combat because it was easier to do at the time. Right. Maybe limitations of the PlayStation 3, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But from moving from Kiwami 2, the remake, to going back into the past, essentially, of an older game in Yakuza 3, there are a lot of quality of life changes that are there that are really lost on Yakuza 3. 4 and 5 weren't so bad because they came later in PlayStation 3's life. But Yakuza 3, I think, really needs it. And then, of course, if it ever happens, I'll just say Yakuza 4 needs it next.
Hey. Well, I really think that Yakuza has gained a massive surge of fans. Or maybe I'm just noticing it more. But at least online, I see nothing but fan threads and, especially on Twitter. Yakuza has a lot of passionate fans, so I definitely think there's a market there to go back and continue to remaster and update some of these older entries.
I agree, and I hope so. I know a lot of people, passionate fans,
very passionate,
feel strongly about Kiwami or the original PlayStation 2 release, same with 2. Mm-hmm. But in Yakuza 3's case, I think there's just enough quality of life that everyone would probably be satisfied. Fans and new and old alike.
Number 6, Xenosaga Trilogy and Xenogears. Now, I'm getting a little greedy here. I've essentially put 4 games into one slot. but hear me out. Xenosaga, the whole trilogy, is one of the best games that I'm afraid is just slipping into obscurity. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is coming out as of the recording of this video here in just a month. And the hype for the game is super high. I think there's a massive surge of fans. But Bandai Namco is sitting on this huge treasure trove with the trilogy itself. Now, I stand by the fact that I think Xenosaga 3 is one of, if not one of the... I think Xenosaga 3 is one of the best turn-based games from the PS2 era. I mean, the graphics, the performance, the fluid combat, the quick animations, everything, it's excellent. It has a very unique combat system that did, essentially have its originations in the Xenogears, which I'll get to in a second. But I think Xenosaga 1 and 3 are just excellent. They could almost just do with ports, maybe just an HD port. I do think that, increased processing speed for Xenosaga 2 would help it shine even brighter. I'm not going to say that the game's hated because everybody loves... there's a fan for every game out there. But I do think Xenosaga 2 has aged a little poorer in that there is such massively long intro screens to combat. But I think that an HD port and remaster of those with just fast, fluid combat, maybe add a little bit of quality of life here and there just with modern usability and stuff like that, I think it would shine so bright. I think Xenosaga would absolutely have an entirely new fan base waiting for it. And Xenogears, one of the biggest mistakes that Square is making right now, especially by sitting on this and Chrono Trigger, do something with them. But I think Xenogears could do with almost even a little bit more than just a remaster. I would love to see the original vision of the game because it kind of famously has a rushed last half of the game because budget just ran out and they were just getting it on there, and so it feels a little jarring. However, Xenogears is one of the most beloved games of all time, and for a reason. It has this extremely ethereal, almost religious, haunting aura about it. It is one of the most unique and well thought out game stories that, to be honest, it's been a hot minute since I beat it, and I'm still kind of reeling and processing from it. It kind of has that Persona 3 impact, it kind of affects you and haunts you long after you've beaten it. I think Xenogears is excellent, and especially with what it looks like a lot of hints and stuff that it's going to be creeping into Xenoblade 3 a little bit, at least if the fan theories are correct. I think the interest in Xenosaga and Xenogears could not be higher right now. And I think that if Bandai Namco and Square could, get these games out in a remastered HD port or something like that, they would only flourish. I stand by that. Let me know what you guys think of the Xenosaga and Xenogears down in the comments.
I never played any of the Xeno games other than Episode 1 on PS2, was it?
Yeah.
And then I played through it, but I didn't find out Xenogears was connected until years later.
So essentially the connection between Xenosaga, Xenogears, and Xenoblade is kind of like a tip of the hat, wink and nod, because the main head of Monolith Soft is, he's worked at a lot of places, and he has this giant, crazy large vision for an entire series, and it's been broken up by so different people own the IPs of this. So it's always been kind of like a tip of the hat. Yes, they are in the same universe, maybe, kinda. We're not going to say so for legal reasons,
Sure.
That's the vibe I get. I could be completely wrong. Again, mega fans in this. I mean, literally, there is, like, if you watch any of those iceberg videos on lore, like, Xenogears is jaw-dropping. It's honestly, like, if you are somebody who's, like, I would say, you know how, like, Trails is absurdly popular right now, and for good reason. It is a great series. Like, those people love in-depth, hardcore storylines, massive web network of just like plot threads and stuff like that. Xenogears is for you. I think you should try Xenogears because the story is like, you have a lot of like kind of the intro baby formula stories going on these days where it's very easy to process. Xenogears is a full course steak meal. I mean, it is a lot to process.
This is Xenogears on PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
Is that where someone like me should start?
If you
because like the Xenosaga Episode 1, I couldn't tell you I remember any major points.
It's a lot. I would say if you are, I always defer to release order for anything.
Fair enough.
And I think that's probably the best way to experience it. That said, you could play Xenosaga Trilogy and never touch Xenogears and be completely fine. Same as with like Xenoblade. You can play 1, 2, and 3 of Xenoblade, never touch Xenosaga, and you're gonna be fine. However, there is a vast wealth of knowledge and theories that to me is like half the fun. Like, holy moly, was that ghost that just walked through the door? Could that be a link to the Xenogears?
Sure.
That
these
kind of
loose threads of maybes.
Yeah, that's where it all comes from. Yeah, and I think they're all worth playing and experience for on their own merit. From the Xenosaga games, 3 is a by far winner for me. 1 is extremely excellent. 2 is probably my least favorite out of all of them. But I do want to experience it because I think if there was just fast-paced load screens, it's hard to go back to now. Like, fast-paced load screens for combat would probably make that game whole much better. Maybe, like kind of in Final Fantasy 12, you could just hit the 2x, 4x speed.
Sure.
Maybe something like that for Xenosaga 2 would make me warm up to it a little bit more than, because I played it after the fact. So. Number 5, Burnout 3 and Revenge.
Man, I love Burnout 3 and Revenge.
Dude, yeah.
The fans of the channel will probably learn quickly I love arcade racing games. I feel like that we've watched them go by the wayside a bit here. And my God, I miss Burnout so much.
Right.
We got the remastered of Paradise.
Oh, that's the one that... Yeah.
On Switch, and every couple years ago now.
Unfortunately, time is moving really quick. Apparently, the Switch has been out for like 5.5 years or something.
Yeah. But, man, I just wasn't as into Paradise as 3 and Revenge. Even people will argue between 3 and Revenge.
Really?
But, man, there was just something about these two games, the crash modes, this sense of speed, the music. Man, the soundtrack defined my life for a moment.
Really?
Yellow Card's still good. Get at me. But these were just white knuckle racing games. It was actually the first video game I ever bought with my own money after having a job. Was Burnout 3. And just something about it left an impression. EA is flirting with old franchises lately like Skate. I know people still claimer for a new Mirror's Edge. But man, give me a Burnout.
Seriously.
Just, you can put, they had back in the day, they had the crash cam where the Xbox Live camera would take a picture of you when someone crashed you, and it would show their face when they were mad that you wrecked them. It was so, what do you call it, gimmicky.
Right.
But we were trying stuff. It was
Right.
the early internet.
Right.
It had, I always liked it had product placement on billboards of their own games.
Oh,
and I always thought that was
Right.
cool. I think Tiger Woods was in them, and
wow.
like the NHL series had a billboard. There may have been like a Medal of Honor or two, but I just really enjoyed the Burnout games.
Burnout 3 and Burnout Revenge. Which is your favorite in the whole Burnout series? Let us know down in the comments. Number 4. Super Robot Tyson OG Saga Endless Frontier. Man, is it a mouthful to say, but it's also a friggin' awesome DS game. Oh my god, it's so good. So it is developed by Monolith Soft. Hey, you know what?
I'm sensing a pattern.
Oh, there might be a pattern. I have unique thoughts, I swear. But so this is one kind of like if you've ever played the Project Cross Zone games. It's kind of like an amalgamation. You even have like Cosmos from Xenosagas in here.
Oh, okay.
You got like heroes from different games, some unique heroes. They're just excellent. The combat is fun. It's not what I would call an extremely difficult game, but it's a wonderful. And you know, I just, in this nostalgic phase I'm in, I'm looking back at the DS. The DS had slam dunk after slam dunk of excellent games that I'm afraid are kind of drifting back further towards the obscurity pile. And Super Robot Tyson could absolutely use a remaster port. It's not utilizing the dual screens in any way that couldn't be fixed, you know, or implemented into just, you know, a Switch or PS4, Xbox, whatever. I think it would do excellent. The combat is very unique, and I'm going to do a hard time of explaining it here, but essentially there's like button-timed inputs, and there's some combos, you can juggle enemies. It just hits all those immediate receptors in our brain. You know how you were talking about Tales of Rise, you're playing it, and it just is constantly hitting, you know, that those synapses of like, this is fun.
Just firing all the receptors of
It makes me
exciting.
It makes me feel a lot cooler and smarter than I am. It's excellent, and that's how games should be. I think Super Robot Tyson is ultra unique, but it's also, I think, something that new JRPG fans would have a field day with.
Does this go into like the grid strategy style of Project X Zone?
No. This one is just definitely like, you know, there's you on this side, bad guys on that side, and you just have these really cool, and then there's like these like special attacks where your character comes on. It is fan service for days, for one, just throwing that out there. I ain't proud, but I mean, but it has it has everything to make the magic formula of a fun kind of, maybe even kind of a cult niche classic, but it could totally do well today. Super Robot Tyson OG Saga Endless Frontier. Am I just crazy for wanting this? Have you all played it? Let me know down in the comments. Number 3, F-Zero GX.
Have you figured out I like arcade racing games yet?
Hey, there may be a pattern, but you know what?
F-Zero GX, though. Have you played it?
No, I played the Super Nintendo.
Okay, this is the GameCube one.
No, I have not played it.
Goodness.
I know.
This is so good.
It looks awesome.
It's also really, really, really hard.
I was supposed to say my earliest memories of the Super Nintendo F-Zero is getting my butt kicked.
Yeah, like listen, all of the F-Zero games to me are pretty challenging.
Yeah.
Dude, F-Zero GX is next level. Like, we're talking original Ninja Gaiden Black, Silver Surfer, like give me all of your
get on my level.
Yeah, Devil May Cry 3 America Edition, like, give them to me.
Right.
Like F-Zero GX needs to be in that conversation. This game is so difficult, but the music, the tracks, the white knuckle racing, it is so on point. It's so action oriented with high risk, high reward boosting and tracking of your health, and just racing on that razor thin edge of no health, but pulling through first place at the last second. It's adrenaline. It's, as you've put it before, what'd you call it?
It's just distilled adrenaline.
It's fantastic. I want to see a new one so badly. I know everyone really does too. We miss F-Zero. If I got F-Zero GX online multiplayer, man, I don't think I would ever need another racing game again.
Right. Well, what's interesting is what little I do know, I have heard that it seems like the devs felt like they created the perfect F-Zero game with GX.
It was something like, we don't know how to top ourselves.
Yeah,
we have no idea how to follow this up.
So if you've done that, okay, well that's fine. Maybe just package in a little, maybe make it like an MK8 Deluxe. Yeah, and just, you know, expand it a little bit.
Hit us with that remaster.
Yeah, I think that would be...
You don't need to change a thing.
Right.
That's quite all right.
F-Zero GX, have you played it?
Play it.
Number 2, the Breath of Fire series. Now
I know nothing.
Oh, yeah. I know very little because I will say this. I've always wanted to play the Breath of Fire games, but I'm always at a point where there's so many things I'm wanting to play. I don't necessarily want to have to get them digitally, this or that, and I'll be honest, I just really think that there's so much love for the Breath of Fire games.
Yes.
The layout is excellent. The sprite work and all that, the graphics, it's right up my alley. I know it's something I could fall in love with, but it's just it's just at a point where it's hard enough to access, to be able to play, to where I'm just like, I'm good for right now. But I know I'm missing out. That's just it. And I know that if this could get a modern day remaster or port, I'd be there day one.
Sure. I don't even know what, as you mentioned with the Yakuza games being confusing of where to start because we're so far gone.
Right.
I feel that's exactly how I feel about Breath of the Fire.
Yeah.
I've heard of them for years. I think I mentioned to you having an old poster of the PS2 one that I thought was cool, but I never played the games, and I have no idea where to begin.
I remember I was talking about like retro JRPGs, RPGs, and such, and I was like, oh yeah, I friggin' love Chrono Trigger, and someone in the comments was like, Breath of Fire is better, or something like that. I was like, bull. I was like, I don't even know what Breath of Fire is, but bull. And I looked it up. I was like, holy crap, that does actually
look really good.
That actually looks pretty cool. I'm not ready to, you know, hop into the boat of it's better than Chrono Trigger.
Sure.
But I will say this, it does look friggin' awesome, and that's right up my alley.
I don't even know how many of them there are, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think there was 2 on Super and a PS2 one.
Yeah.
I assume a PlayStation 1 one existed.
But I have a question for the Breath of Fire fans. If you could only recommend one of the games in the series, which one would you recommend? Let us know down in the comments.
Yeah, what's the best newcomer entry? Where would be the best place to start?
If you were a noob.
Hypothetically. Yes, hypothetical noob.
Number 1, Suikoden 1 and 2.
The exact same thing here.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I've heard the fan base for this game is so passionate.
Right.
And I don't feel like they're ever dogging anyone. They're just trying to tell you this is a great game that you're missing out on.
They're like that crazy dude from GameStop who's trying to get you to play Digital Devil Sign back in the day. They're like, please God, just play the game.
I promise you this is really good. So listen, it's been one I've been to try. I'm terrible at tactics games, and I think that's really all I know about these games. I assume you start at the first one. I don't know how many there are.
Yeah.
It's just, again, I know this fan base on the internet is very passionate.
Yeah.
They just want me to try this game, and I know I need to and have for a long time.
Yeah, and you know me, I have in the past put on my clown makeup and always erred on the side of let's play it physically. But there are just certain games where I'm just like, yeah, I need to pick this up digitally. It looks excellent. But what's so weird to me is with a Yudian Chronicle, I'm probably saying that wrong, please forgive me, but it is clear, and they're not shy about it. It was a Kickstarter game that is heavily inspired by Suikoden, and I'm probably saying that wrong as well. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, feel free to correct us on that. I genuinely don't know.
What's so weird is, and the game seems to have had a lot of hype. It's getting ported to everything. There's clearly an interest in that genre. Why don't we just see more of these games coming back? And quick tangent here. If you are a game developer and you're seeing some of your games go for hundreds and hundreds of dollars online, maybe that's a sign that there is enough interest to port it.
It's one of those things where I've wanted to try it. I don't know where to find it. I think there were digital re-releases on the PlayStation 3 store at the time, and I think people were...
I think it's on Vita. I think you might be able to play it on Vita.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. There's our games that we want to see remastered. I mean, they need it, to be honest.
I agree. There's just a lot there. There's a lot of opportunities for companies to make some money and us to get some games we want to play and not spend too much on.
Those are just the games that we want to see remastered. We're just, limiting it down to a small list, and we actually have another one of these coming out in the future. But how about you? What are games that you think need and deserve a remaster, a port? Let us know down in the comments. I also want to give a big thank you to those who support us on Patreon. Your support is so appreciated. We thank you so much. But Danik, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me today.
Oh my gosh, and thank you all for watching. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing, and we will see you all next time.